You seem to have forgotten that I am a woman.
Okay then, well let's step it up a notch then. Alrighty then, welcome back, hoes. This is your hostess, Ani Moush. We are back. I've been in studio this whole time, but the last 2 episodes we had over Zoom. That was a new one for this podcast, so thank you for sticking with it, everybody. We're almost through January at this point, so that's cool. Haven't broken my resolutions yet, so I'm happy. And today I have a very special guest on the podcast, my friend who is a ballerina neuroscientist for real. I'm not joking. I asked her if that was the appropriate way to introduce her before this podcast. Jess, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Haus Haux. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. You just really freaked me out with the fact that it's already halfway through January. I also just remembered it's my mom's birthday.
Oh, boy.
And I haven't called her. But I did order her some junk off of Amazon. So that counts, right?
Absolutely, dude. It's a thought that counts.
Daughterly duties.
Yeah, and I mean, after this podcast, you can call her and it'll be fine.
That's true.
It still counts.
A midnight surprise.
Yeah.
I'll call her at 11:59. She'll love that.
I wanted to be the last voice that you heard today.
That's actually good. I'm going to steal that. That's perfect.
Do what I can, dude. Well, thank you for you were talking about a lot of stuff before this podcast that you're an amazing person, because every time I talk to you, you've submitted something that day that like I never would have thought that could be done in a day, like coming up with an entire budget and plan and like whatever for like a curriculum or something, because you also teach and you have a lot of stuff going on.
I think it's also mostly just that I'm mentally disorganized sometimes. So I have had to develop the ability to work very well under fast pressure.
Yeah.
Mostly just because I don't remember when grants and things are due. So I check my computer and it's like, oh, it's due today. So let's sit down and crank this thing out.
So you work well under pressure. That's like,
I do.
Figured that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of artists feel that way because the muse has to hit you.
I think it's also just because like being an artist, you have to be so like self-aware and so self-assured to feel deserving of those kinds of things and put yourself out there. And I think that's such a difficult thing that it's very easy to procrastinate on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And until you kind of see like, oh, that opportunity is going to be gone if I don't force myself to do it now. At least that's kind of how I think.
I
agree.
agree.
I am a little bit that way.
I agree. That's a beautiful segue. I've been working on this project that I've been giving little bits and pieces of on this podcast. It's a coloring book that I'm designing.
I know. I've been seeing the Instagram stuff.
Thank you. And every single time on this podcast, I say that I'm going to work on it or like whatever I'm going to do, bits and pieces of it. And I'm the only one pushing it. Because everybody I tell is like, that's a great idea. Why is that not out immediately? Can I buy it right now? And I'm just very critical of it. I've always been my most biggest critic. I guess a lot of artists are. But the only thing that's keeping me accountable is like the people like that come in and remind me like, oh yeah, if it's not you, then you're not going to do it, you know? So what came first, dancing or neuroscience?
Definitely dancing. I mean, I started dancing when I was 3. My mom is like an actress voiceover kind of person.
That's cool.
Like if you call and you order Godiva chocolates and you hear the lady that's like, if you would like the executive box, press 1. That's my mom. We used to get like free chocolate, which was fun.
That's dope.
But she wanted to be a dancer like growing up, but
Cool.
grew up kind of poor, so wasn't able to take lessons until she was in college. So I think that from the moment that I popped out, she was like, you're going to get those ballet lessons that she didn't have. Started dancing super young. I don't even remember life without being in ballet class like multiple times a week. And I think it was just one of those things where, you know, I showed some potential for it early on. So it was just the thing that I just kind of like kept doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get involved with the science world at all until gosh, I'm trying to think of like when that transition sort of happened. I think I was like midway through my career, like mid-20s, and by that point, because I'm diabetic and I don't know any other diabetic ballet dancers, like those two things just like really do not go together, like the strict aesthetic of the ballet world and like how your nutrition has to be, and sort of the just trying to like manage like an eating schedule and insulin. I mean, even just like having health insurance, like no ballet company provides health insurance. So I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I was
in such a physical, the whole thing is physical.
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, I think some of the like major ones do once you're an established company member, but for the most part in the ballet world, when you're like a new dancer on the scene, you dance for a year or two, considered like an apprentice or like a trainee, where you're dancing a lot, but they don't pay you at all. So just because of like my health conditions and everything, there just aren't really like a lot of people that have kind of had those. Sorry, I'm like not used to holding a microphone so close to my face. I think I had developed a lot of bad habits at that point. So it's interesting, just, like when you have those habits that you're doing like day in and day out, like how hard it is to break them. And it just becomes like almost like a thought pattern, even more than like a physical pattern of how you just sort of like handle stress and like handle challenges and all those kinds of things.
Your mind has trained yourself like already without, this is not normal, but for me it's normal.
Yeah, 100%. So I think I really wanted to sort of like fix my behavior. And I had been in like all kinds of like different therapy programs, even up to like I was in an inpatient hospital when I was in high school, actually, because I had developed such a bad eating disorder from the diabetes and like the pressures of dance and all that stuff. And I like randomly stumbled upon this neuroscientist. His name is Dr. Richard Davidson, and he is like one of my all-time favorites. And his work is all about like how you can change the brain using neuroplasticity and how that can change your behaviors and that kind of thing. So for me, it was like it's a very action-based kind of way of approaching like thought pattern changes and that kind of thing. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So as a dancer, I think that made a lot of sense to me. So kind of like learning about that aspect to sort of really like change my life. I think that was kind of where
what goes into like his theory. Like, what were the steps in doing that?
So he was actually one of the first that really brought like yoga into the science practice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So kind of like understanding, it's like the whole brain body connection kind of thing where, because I think a lot of people hear the word yoga and they think it's very like, new agey spiritualism and that kind of thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but so kind of considering like what actually happens to your central nervous system when you're like taking time to like breathe in certain patterns, or like how you place your eyes and connect the visual system with the respiratory system and those kinds of things. So really sort of like debunking the like mysticism of it and seeing it through like a physical and mental practice. I think that made a lot of sense to me.
That's so interesting. So part of my, not resolution, but like, you try a new behavior January 1st. I mean, I've done yoga for many years, but like my practice always gets interrupted, but I've been very good in January about keeping it and doing it at specific times. So like whether if it's you need to either, I figured out that I need to either do it first thing in the morning or last thing before I go to bed. Yeah. And like if I do it first thing in the morning, man, is that a different day than if I don't do it. It's a totally different day. And I've just tried to do it in small intervals. Like you don't have to do an hour at a time. You can do 10 minutes, work your way up like slowly and until you feel like you're strong, you know, like not everything is overnight.
I always feel like it's kind of the same as what you were talking about with the coloring book, where, because I sometimes do yoga in the morning too, like if I don't have to run off to teaching or something very quickly. And it's always one of those like getting myself on the mat is the hardest part. And then once I'm there, I'm like, oh, this actually like feels pretty good. And then I could stay there like all day. But it's just like deciding to start is always the hardest thing for me.
And it's like, what's the routine leading up to you getting on the mat? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to say I'm going to do this, then start the day where it's the first thing on the to-do list. All right, dude, go piss.
Yeah.
Have a cup of water. Light your incense.
I know.
And then fucking as you're lighting that, put Sarah Beth on, who does yoga on YouTube, and boom, there you are on that.
I was going to say, I don't know Sarah Beth. I don't know her.
Yoga with Sarah Beth. Sam Buck gave me the recommendation for that. That's how he got into his yoga practice. Which him and Sean Veig is the other yogi that he follows, but who's been on his podcast. But anyways, Sarah Beth is great because she has a bunch of different types, like I said, like either in intervals or it focuses on like, hey, you have neck pain or you have like lower back pain, like learning what things you need to move around, you know, like something like a triangle pose that's gonna all your obliques is gonna also strengthen your back. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I've learned a lot from just.
Are you doing it more for like what you were just saying, like physical kind of benefits, or when you set that as like a resolution, or is it to like give yourself mental space?
Bad ADHD.
I remember we have talked about this because I never thought that I did until I met you, and you were like, "I'm pretty sure you have this, Jess. Like you,
I'm sorry,
are always fidgeting." Like,
I mean, you've seen me move so many times, but I mean, part of that practice is like take your medication in the morning, like do whatever you need to do, like that's, you know, go to therapy regularly, like that's all part of it, but. The yoga reminds me, like, if I'm going to go do yoga or any task, there's always 7 steps beforehand. So, like, if I'm making that path the first thing in the morning, then everything's going to be easier mentally for the rest of the day as well. You know, like, all right, you took care of your body, you took care of your mind, like, now make sure you fucking eat before you have coffee. That does not happen all the time. But I know I have to. I say it out loud. So we're getting there, baby steps. But you know what I mean? I'm doing also, I don't have a good ergonomic system right now, I'll admit, as I'm working. So that knowing that I'm in physical pain, that also just doesn't help.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Today when I was working on this like 8-page grant application, I was doing it sitting on my couch because I bought a desk and I don't know why I feel like I can't concentrate when I'm sitting at this desk. So I do it sitting on my couch, and I like bought this couch from West Elm. That furniture is shit and it's so expensive. It's so annoying. Yeah. But I paid so much money for it. I'm just like, well, I'm just going to sit here and be miserable. But I swear to God, it like fucks up my back every time I'm sitting on there.
I mean, also the way that your wrists are placed, like, because the carpal tunnel gets all like stuck in there and all that shit. So it's all. I went to design school, and that was like a whole section that you learned about was like ergonomic design.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like it's just very important for like your posture and everything, and like mentally. But in any case, yoga every day. So that's interesting. This doctor also he was the first one to integrate this into practice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
tell me more
about
his discovery.
His discovery?
Yeah, I'm just curious about this. Like,
so I mean, so a lot of his work, like the last book of his that I was just rereading is The Emotional Life of Your Brain. So so it really talks about like all these kinds of things, like not just how it affects like your behaviors and your body and those kinds of your posture, all that kind of stuff, but really how much your emotional well-being is really centered in the body. Because I think so many people think of the brain as like, you know, the executive center where like you can think yourself into not procrastinating or think yourself into good behaviors. And that's really just not how it works. I think that if I could like change one sort of like opinion in the world, that might be it. That people think that like the brain is like the control center. But the brain is like a great servant, not a great master. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of like what you were saying, where you have to do all these like steps to set yourself up to have a good day. It's like you have to have all these sort of like little rituals or routines or little like things that you do to activate, to sort of like flip a light switch on, so that then you can do those kind of tasks that do require a lot of brain power, that require like conscious thought and all those kinds of things. But
like running 2 businesses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Are those,
Or teaching
those are your
dance.
two
Yeah.
businesses, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or like, I mean, you teach, you have a business, you do a lot, dude. I don't even know where to like, what is your favorite thing to do out of all of the things that you do?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think with teaching, because I came to New York because like I was teaching in St. Louis and I just really wanted to become like a better teacher. So that's why I came here to do my master's. But teaching is like, it's not a factory experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like, because
I
there's
used to teach
sometimes,
also.
yeah, so you know how it is. Like sometimes I'll go in with the exact same lesson plan, same curriculum, even the same school. And I'll teach like fourth grade classes in a row. And like my 8 a.m. class, like I love it. It's an amazing experience. And you're like, wow, like my life is so fulfilling. And then the next class, like hate to say it, but there'll be some like little stinker kid that like throws a total monkey wrench in there. And you're like, this job sucks. Like, why am I doing this? Not that you want to ever like, you're always like, I love all the kids. But sometimes, whatever.
Hey,
like,
some kids suck. Like, not all kids are angels.
it's not even always like the kids. It can be like the admin that you're working in or just like the school environment. Like, so there's a school, actually I like just, I feel maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will. So I like quit this job that I was like so excited to get at the beginning of the year because it's for like 2 and 3 year olds. It's supposed to be 3-year-olds, but like, because all parents wanted to go back to work and that kind of thing, they're like sneaking all these emotionally damaged 2-year-olds in there.
Oh, no.
And it's like a playroom kind of thing where they want me to come in and teach dance, but so they've just got like toys everywhere. And
There's
like,
you babysit.
I am totally 100% a babysitter, and they have like an open sand pit.
Stop.
So I'm like in the middle of like trying to teach like, okay, let's touch our toes to these like 2-year-olds that don't want to be there, and I don't blame them. And this little 2-year-old just comes over and like just dumped a bucket of sand on me like in the middle of class, and you're just sitting there like, I have multiple master's degrees. Why am I doing this? But yeah. So sometimes it's the school, sometimes it's the kids, sometimes it's the parents. Like,
yeah.
So teaching, I feel like is it always keeps me on my toes. So I actually do really enjoy that about it. Where like I do feel like it always pushes me, it always challenges me because people are so different, and like having that sort of like, it's a two-way street. It's always a collaboration when things are gonna work or if they don't. So I really do love teaching. So I would say that probably is my favorite thing. But I mean, I just opened my company in August.
Yes.
So it has been, I feel like I'm learning so much.
The name of your
actually,
company is?
It's Bodies Never Lie Dance Company.
Yay.
Yeah, so.
You have a new studio and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I like left the East Village to move out so that I have a huge amount of space, which is so nice being in Brooklyn. But I was actually just like, walking here. I was like, oh, I miss being in the East Village so much. It's such a cool part of town. But yeah, I remember like even going through like all the paperwork of like starting an LLC. There were so many times where I like wanted to call you just because I'm like, I'm getting all this junk in the mail. Like, why is it that when like you start an LLC and they send you so many things that are like pay this and pay that, and it's like you don't actually have to. There's so much scam. There's like
don't be fooled.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like you should start a like how to run a business as an artist
Me?
podcast or like a master class or
Maybe
something.
this podcast can become that. I
That's
don't know.
what I feel like you should just like drop a tip like in all of these of like watch out for like this LLC scam paperwork thing.
Ooh. If you guys have questions, I'll answer them.
So many questions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do like come to me and I have like one-on-one like, relationships with them and stuff. But I feel like I don't know. I got stuff to share.
Yeah. Give us your tips.
I don't know.
When did you start your what was your first company? Cuz I know you have 2.
Well, technically too much content.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've been doing art a lot longer than I've been doing podcasting. But
was that like established under like a company name and that kind of thing, or were you just kind of like doing it and seeing if people would buy it?
My art was I was just doing it and just like, hey, anybody want this? Like kind of thing.
Yeah.
How did you start your business? Like how did you start like a studio?
Kind of exactly like what you were just saying. I mean, because for such a long time, I think I always wanted to have my own company.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was 17, and I was a senior in high school, we had to write one of those like where do you see yourself in 10 years kind of thing?
Yeah.
And mine was like, I see myself as a company director living alone in New York City.
Nice.
I remember in that little paper, I thought that like rent was going to be like $600 a month or something like that.
Maybe at the
Because
time.
I thought, oh my God, because I thought that would have been expensive. Like just no idea about like the actual cost of living in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that I've always been sort of like going towards this trajectory, but I think it was really good for me to collect a lot of experiences being a dancer and being sort of a choreographer for hire with like a bunch of other companies. So you can see kind of like what works and what really does not does not work. Yeah, so and then I think once I left kind of being like a full year-round like salaried dancer with companies, I was doing a lot of like freelance work or like just sort of like little pickup shows where maybe a gallery would hire me to come in and choreograph something for like an opening event or something like that. And that was when I was living in St. Louis, and I kind of thought I was going to start a company there, but then I kind of had that shift of wanting to go to grad school, and that brought me to New York. And I just I had like a very clear plan when I moved to New York. Like I really thought I was going to be here for 2 years for grad school and then go and do my PhD in London. And when I finished grad school, I like got into my dream school, was like all prepped to go.
Oh my God.
And I got this like big grant from NYU to study linguistics for like a year. So I was like, well, I'll just stay and finish that. And then I haven't left. And I think, yeah, in like my course of time here, like I just have become a little bit more clear on like everything that I want to do with like the kind of work that I'm doing. And I've just met so many awesome people that it just felt like this was the right time to kind of do it and to start it at least here. And
dude, that's how it felt too. And sometimes you reach a ceiling somewhere and you're like, it's not that I don't like or adore this place. It's just that there are other pastures that I need to graze, bro. You know?
Is that what happened with you? Because I know that you were doing like stand-up comedy for a while. How did you decide between comedy
Not a
and
while.
art?
I mean, like I was an interior designer professionally for like 10 plus years.
Okay.
And I went to interior design like school, and that was my bachelor's. My master's was in interior architecture and management. So like I have this like background, and then I like while I was an interior designer at like this corporate place, I just went to an open mic and did that for like, you know, until pandemic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a full year. I like almost reached a year before a pandemic hit, and then I just stopped doing it. But I still kept podcasting. Yeah. And Irish and I were doing podcasting together anyways, and like this all came along. Other people wanted us to produce stuff, and like it's crazy how many people want us to produce stuff now. Yeah. Like a year and a half later.
Why do you think that is? Is it because of like your approach towards podcasting, or is it like this? Because I love the space.
Thank you.
Just come and sit in here.
Well, the space definitely helps.
Yeah.
But I think like him and I have a good balance. Like he's a professional audio engineer, and just has an insane ear anyways, and just like knows what to do with like stuff like that and like technology, and he has passion for it, and like all the visual stuff is like what I have a passion for, and we both love comedy, so that's kind of how we ended up here, and it's kind of how we met anyways. But it's just a plus. Like if you're an audio engineer, or if you're like in design in any capacity, you could do that for like a hospital, and it's like boring, but like why wouldn't you want to do that and laugh every day? Like that's so much fun, you know? I mean, I feel like entertainers and people who are in spotlight, like fun is different than for the average person.
What do you
mean?
mean?
You know what I mean?
Fun is different.
Like what you find entertaining, it's like you see. I think you see it more as art than something that's like trying to make some kind of statement. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what I mean.
Not really.
I'm not explaining it. It's okay. I'm trying to go down a path that I'm trying to decide if I actually want to go down, and I don't. Okay, so you got your master's, and then you decided you finished your linguistics degree.
Oh, so I didn't do a degree in it. It was just a grant.
It was just a grant. Oh.
Yeah.
Fucking still very cool.
Yeah.
In your studio now, what people can just come and like dance, take classes, learn from you?
So I do like once a week, an open, it's like a neuro stretch class. So it's like very simple movement, but it's kind of like what we were talking about with like the yoga kind of thing, where it's like, it's not really movement that's only geared towards like changing your body or changing your physique or that kind of thing. Like, the whole goal of my class is sort of to like open up the possibility of neuroplasticity. So it's like, how do you use your visual system? How do you use your respiratory system? Combine that with movement so that you, because that's actually like the easiest way to get the brain to.
For someone who didn't know what
change.
neuroplasticity means.
So neuroplasticity is like the ability to rewire your brain.
Cool.
So that if you have sort of like thought patterns, like for instance, like the amygdala is the thing that's like your emotional center of your brain. So when you take in, when you take in like visual data, that immediately goes to the amygdala where it's then processed, and that will essentially, like the patterns that are already existing in your brain will tell you like how to react type of thing. Like for instance, if you see a picture of your mom, like this is true for every single person regardless of your relationship with your family, you'll actually start sweating. It's called like a galvanized response.
Really?
Yeah, because like when you take in visual data, like it produces all of this like chemical reactions and things like that in your body. And those are the kind of things, when you have those chemical reactions, a lot of those are called neurotransmitters. And those are the things that will open up the possibility for your brain to rewire and change. So if you want to like not have a stress response to a certain trigger, you have to change your brain through neuroplasticity.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Dude, say it louder for the people in the back, dude. More people need to do this. I was just having a conversation with someone that if you have a disagreement with somebody and they have a triggered emotional response, more likely than not, that has really nothing to do with you.
It's like whatever your
It has something to do with somebody has made you, the first person that made you feel this emotion has something to do with them and you, but probably not me. And so a lot of people don't, I think it takes a lot for someone to recognize that about themselves.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard to look internally, especially if nobody makes you. You know, so if nobody makes you look internally at your emotional triggered responses, or if your response to someone telling you that is emotional or loud, then where, in your opinion, and for someone who's like done a lot of research and clearly knows a lot about this, like where does that person have to be or reach for them to like realize, oh fuck, I need to rewire some things?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I think being able to pay attention to the physical sensations is honestly like the first and easiest way to do it. There's like a great book if people are interested. It's like, what's his name? It's like Brussels Vanderkalk. And it was recently on the New York Times top 10 bestseller list. But it's an older book, and it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's about how like your body will actually let you know like how you're reacting to things and what your trigger is before you're even sort of like consciously aware of it.
Wow.
So it's the things like, do you notice that you're starting to sweat? Do you notice that like certain things make you angry or like give you the feelings of anxiety or like more energy? Like adrenaline, when it's released in the body, that makes like your muscles heat up. So if you feel like heat and tension, things like that, this is something that I work with a lot with like kids.
Really?
Yeah, is being able to sense like even just like temperature sensations and things like that, like where you feel activity in your body and that kind of thing. That's honestly like one of the easiest cues to then like take a second and be like, okay, like I'm having a physical response to this. Mentally, let's think about like what is going on in the context of my life right now. Why am I having this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of the times it's from the immediate like things going on in their life, or do you think that a lot of the times it might be repeated trauma from the past?
Oh, I definitely think the latter.
Really?
Personally.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I think like it takes something very extreme for it to be a recent event.
Yeah.
You know? So presumably, let's say person A comes to the point where they're understanding I'm having, this physical response, my temperature is changing. I'm going to ask you a two-part question.
Okay.
If they are someone who's interested in body and movement and healing that way, what could they do? And if they are not, what could they do?
Yeah. The second one is like always a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what we were talking about, even with like setting yourself up for having a good day. It's like getting yourself to do those things that are difficult, because even if they do help, it's like how everybody knows about like nutrition and sleep and all that kind of stuff. And like, I'm not here to like preach, because I obviously like went to bed way too late myself last night.
I'm right there with you, dude.
I feel like this is everybody. Like, we all know it's not even a problem. We live in the age of easy access to information. Like, everybody knows how we're supposed to behave. It's like getting yourself to do the things that are difficult.
Right.
So,
and I think also with a lot of people, like,
I'm, like, struggling
working
with this
from
microphone.
home, if you are not, if no one's making you accountable.
Yeah.
We'll transition to that soon. If no one's making you accountable, then like you're, again, back to what we were saying before, you're your hardest critic. You're not going to be like, oh, I have to change.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not everyone around you, dude. But anyways, so where are we? Let's go. Oh, perfect. We'll go into our one segment, our accountability segment, where we'll do some moosh manifesting. So this week, this is going to come out. Okay. If you guys haven't signed up for the LITTY committee yet, my monthly candle club, the second month of the next candle is coming out in February.
Is that the mushroom one?
Yes, that
really
is the
love
mushroom
that
one. How'd you know?
Because I follow your Instagram and stuff.
I'm so glad. Hell yeah. So the January's was there are no bad trips, just difficult ones. And then the next one is going to be called it's not a rushroom, it's a mushroom. So, and I'll put a little right here. I'll put a picture of the next one. So if you haven't signed up for that, go to patreon.com/moosh and you can sign up for my monthly candle club. And if you want to just buy like any other candles and support my artwork, you can just go to animoushmedia.com and like look at that shit. But I've updated a ton on there so that you guys can find that. The accountability that I'm saying is that I fucking got it done. Okay? I got it done. I said I was going to get it done. And I got, and I have March and April done. So to everybody. I did it and I'm ahead of it. So now I can do some other cool shit. So I'm starting, I don't know. I guess my next thing is just to keep doing my yoga. Maybe I'll try to go like a half an hour by the next time of this podcast. I'll do some mental shit because I need it right now, clearly.
I'm
And an
trying to do
Adderall.
this thing where it's like the cold shower challenge
Oh,
thing. And you're
dude.
supposed to do like 11 minutes in total per week. So I'm like counting down the seconds. I do like 45 seconds every day.
Is it the Winhoff thing?
Yeah, it's like the Iceman thing
Dang.
or whatever. He does like the bucket challenge kind of thing. I mean, I heard about it on the Huberman Lab podcast. It's like a science podcast. But
Ooh.
yeah. So
What are
it's
some,
awful
like,
though. It's torture.
if you want, well, do you want to first? Do you want to do throw any accountability manifesting or anything out there?
I mean, I feel like so my company right now, we booked like a bunch of shows, which is
Cool.
amazing. We actually booked one for Joe's Pub, which is like one of the theaters is like one of my dream spaces. You know what I
Cool.
mean? And so, yeah.
What's
so
the date? What day? What day?
We don't have an exact date. I know
Okay.
it's going to be in April.
Cool.
But it's a collaboration with another neuroscientist, and we're calling the event a neurosalon, where it's sort of, so the point of it is we're experimenting with how to overcome adversity by using creativity.
Oh my God, I love
So
this.
it's like a live jazz band, and then me and the dancers, and then we're sort of infusing it with like science principles. So it'll be really cool.
I want to come.
Yeah, so you'll definitely be invited. I'll get you
Yes.
tickets. But
Thank you.
yeah, so the neuroscientist just sent over like, because she wants me to do one choreographed piece and then one like improvisation kind of thing.
Cool.
And I'm at the point now where like I'm very comfortable with the choreography aspect, because like I trust my mind's ability to like come up with a good piece of art, and like my dancers in my company are so beautiful and amazing. Like they can do everything that I throw at them. For me, I'm most nervous about the improv part because I actually have to dance.
Okay.
And I've had just like so many injuries and everything at this point. I mean, like I'm legally disabled. Like I could collect money from the like quote unquote government because I have such awful nerve damage in my feet. So like when I'm dancing, I can't feel my feet at all. So when I get booked for all these jobs that are like, oh, well, you'll just come out and dance, like it makes me so afraid because like.
Can you say no?
I can, but I still want to.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of on that like seesaw where it's like, should I let that go, like, and just say that I'm a choreographer and not be a performer anymore? But I still like.
What if
I
you
still
just had
love
those
dancing,
few
so.
shows that you exclusively did,
Yeah.
like with your company? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not saying don't dance. I'm just saying I'm worried about
you're
your
like,
feet.
stop dancing.
No,
one
keep
wants to see
dancing
that, yeah.
forever. You just said it made you the most happy, but I
Yeah.
worry about your feet.
I know.
What do you do?
I mean, there's not really much I can do. Like, I feel like I've had like so many multiple surgeries and like
Wow.
I've tried everything. I've tried like horrible like electroshock therapy.
Oh my God.
I've tried acupuncture. I had like some of my nerves, I had them actually like split open and they tried to like clean them out. None of that worked. Yeah.
Oh my
so
God. You're
I
a
went
survivor,
to go.
girl.
Well, I think because like I love dancing so much that I'm just like, I'm willing to try absolutely anything if it will
Yeah.
help. I went to go see this doctor to consider doing like stem cell injections last week.
What?
And he was like, no, it's just not going to help. Like for me, it's it's a diabetic thing because like when you have high blood sugars, the way it affects your bloodstream is it will end up like killing off all the nerves in like your most distal proportions. So like I actually don't have fingerprints anymore because like there's so much nerve damage in my fingertips as well. And because like with diabetes, like you always prick your fingers to test your blood sugar. So I'm like, I would be a great criminal. 'Cause I don't have fingerprints anymore. So maybe that'll be like,
You'll be our criminal.
that'll be my
Lori will
side
drive the
gig.
getaway
Yeah.
car. We're just collecting on this
Yeah.
podcast.
I love that.
Well, I'm
Nice.
manifesting that your feet will not hurt you so much when you dance.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be
I'll
honestly.
say some prayers.
The doctor that I saw told me that it's gonna take like probably 2 years for the nerves to regrow, and I'm just like, I don't want to wait for 2 years to continue trying to make art that I want to make. So for me, for my accountability thing, is I'm like trying to get myself to actually give myself a little bit of a ballet class, like even if it's 15 minutes, like every day, just to get used to like.
We
how
should
different
text
the
each other
sensations
every
are.
day.
We should,
and
yeah.
make sure we
Send
did
me
yoga
I
and
think
our
we
dance.
should. I think you should send me a picture of you on the mat, and I'll send you a picture of me dancing.
Yes,
just so you know.
perfect.
Yeah, here's me and I'm being like a sweaty mess kind of thing.
Hell yeah. That will keep me accountable. Like I'll end with this. We had a guest, Jay Castle, on the podcast twice, and the second time he was on, he was cracking me up because he's like, I had to do that thing because I knew the next time that you were gonna see me, you were gonna ask, and I didn't want to be like, I didn't do it. I'm not trying to pressure you guys. I'm just trying to make
No, it works though. I swear it works. Like social accountability. You're like, oh man, like it's like, oh, they'll be disappointed in me if I don't do it.
He wrote like 3 scripts and he submitted a bunch of stuff, and I'm so excited to talk to him
gosh.
next about it. So like,
Is he a screenwriter?
He has a lot of things.
Yeah.
This
This
is
is New York.
a
We all have,
very
like, a
creative
billion
human.
jobs.
Brilliant human. I would love to have you back, and I would like to see how far you get with your accountability, and I'll do the same.
Okay.
Yeah, in a couple months.
Challenge accepted.
And we'll challenge each
like
other. We'll
it.
see if we text each other every day pictures of our activity.
Okay.
But until
Get ready.
then, where can everybody? We'll also post the link to tickets to like the shows that you want to
Oh,
promote
yeah,
in the
great.
description of this podcast. But where can people like find you in the meantime?
Sure. So I guess I'm not super active on social
Yeah,
media,
that's fine.
but I do have an Instagram, and it's Jessica Moore Ruhlin, because my regular one got hacked. So
Yeah, screw that
yeah, so I
guy.
had to restart it, which was kind of a mess.
Let's help her out. Give her a follow. She had to restart. She's doing some great shit, dude. Come
Yeah,
on.
I've got like little clips of my choreography and shows and all that kind of stuff. Usually go up there, but links to tickets, all that kind of thing is on the company website, which is bodiesneverliedance.com. And that's where like all the info about upcoming shows are, and a gallery of choreography and pictures and like all that kind of stuff. So
Amazing. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I'm so excited for that April show.
it's gonna be really great.
I can't
I'm really
wait.
excited.
Do you guys over there want to come with me? Hell yeah. We're
Come
doing
on,
it.
jazz and science.
Laura,
and
did you want to
crazy
plug
dance.
anything before we sign off for these hoes? Nah. Guys, you know to follow Laura. Go follow her right now. Okay, she's running shows now too and doing it up. We had a great time last week. All good. Let's have another one next month. And to subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah.
Subscribe and follow.
Ani's
And
the best. She's amazing.
thank you.
Inspirational figure.
I'm gonna post more of
friend.
my coloring book.
I know. I want the coloring book. I'm serious.
Oh yeah, dude.
And the
You will get a.
candles.
Everybody in this room is gonna get a copy when it comes
Okay,
out.
good.
All right. Love you, hoes. See you next week. Peace.